In 1944, as the first Soviet T-34-85s rolled out of the Nizhny Tagil factories, they carried with them more than just steel and ammunition. They carried the desperate hope of a nation determined to repel the Nazi threat. This tank was not merely a war machine, but a symbol of Soviet resistance against the formidable German Panthers and Tigers that dominated the battlefields of the Eastern Front. While German engineers boasted of their technologically superior creations, an unexpected truth was about to emerge from the frozen fields of Russia. The simplicity and efficiency of mass production could overcome individual sophistication. What the Germans failed to grasp was that they were about to face not just an improved tank, but an entirely different philosophy of warfare, one that prioritized strategic quantity over individual technical perfection. This revelation would fundamentally transform the perception of what truly wins wars: the genius of a few or the organized determination of many. The original T-34 with its 76.2mm gun had been a force to be reckoned with in the early years of the war. However, with the introduction of the German Panthers and Tigers, which boasted thicker armor and superior armaments, it became evident that an upgrade was necessary. Soviet engineers faced a seemingly impossible dilemma: how to compete with tanks that cost 3 times as much to produce and took twice as long to manufacture. The answer came through a revolutionary approach that defied conventional military logic. Instead of trying to match German complexity, the Soviets opted for a strategy of superiority through simplicity. The T-34-85 was born from this philosophy, equipped with a 3.35-inch gun and a redesigned turret to accommodate a 3-man crew, allowing the commander to focus exclusively on leadership without the distraction of operating the gun. This seemingly simple change represented a tactical revolution that the Germans completely underestimated. The frontal armor of the T-34-85 was increased to 3.54 inches, providing better protection against enemy shells. Its 3.35-inch gun, with a muzzle velocity of 2,600 feet per second, was capable of penetrating a Panther's side armor at 500 yards and, at shorter distances, even a Tiger's frontal armor. But raw numbers didn't tell the whole story. While a Tiger weighed an impressive 62.6 short tons and a Panther tipped the scales at 49.6 short tons, the T-34-85 maintained an efficient weight of 35.3 short tons. This weight difference was not just a matter of material economy. It was a fundamental tactical advantage that allowed the Soviet tank to operate in terrains where its German adversaries simply bogged down. The superior mobility of the T-34-85 meant it could choose when and where to fight, a freedom that the heavy German giants did not possess. This reality began to manifest dramatically in the muddy battlefields of the Russian Spring. Mobility had always been a hallmark of the T-34, and the Model 85 maintained that tradition with significant improvements. Equipped with a 12-cylinder V234 diesel engine generating 500 HP, the tank could reach speeds of up to 34.2 mph on roads and had an operational range of 217.5 miles. Its wide tracks and Christie suspension allowed for excellent performance in difficult terrain, from the muddy steppes to the snowy landscapes of Russia. While Panthers often got stuck in the spring mud, unable to maneuver effectively, the T-34-85s danced around them like agile predators circling immobilized prey. Lieutenant Ivan Petrov, commander of a T-34-85 from the 1st Guards Tank Brigade, wrote in his diary, "Today I saw 3 German Panthers stuck in the mud like prehistoric mammoths. Our tanks surrounded them and destroyed them one by one. German superiority is an illusion when they can't even move." This mobility advantage completely transformed the dynamics of armored combat on the Eastern Front. On the battlefield, the T-34-85 proved to be a formidable adversary through tactics that exploited its unique advantages. In battles like Kursk, Soviet tanks, now equipped with the 3.35-inch gun, were able to face German Panthers and Tigers on equal terms. But the true revolution was not just in individual combat capability. It was in mass coordination. While the Germans operated their tanks like medieval knights, relying on the individual superiority of each machine, the Soviets developed wolf pack tactics that utilized groups of 5 to 8 T-34-85s working in perfect coordination. Captain Mikhail Volkov, a veteran of 47 armored engagements, reported, "The Germans fight like gladiators, one against one, relying on brute force. We fight like a storm, from all sides at once. They might destroy one or two of us, but meanwhile the other three flank and attack them." This tactical shift represented a fundamental evolution in armored warfare. The mass production of the T-34-85 was a testament to Soviet industrial capacity that left the Germans in shock. In August 1944, an impressive 1,400 units were produced in a single month, a number that surpassed total German Panther production over 3 months. This production capacity not only reinforced Soviet ranks, but also demoralized German forces, who could not match the pace of production. General Heinz Guderian, in his memoirs, bitterly admitted, "Every Tiger we lost was irreplaceable. Every T-34 they lost was replaced by 2 new ones the following week. We were fighting a hydra, cut off 1 head and 2 grow in its place." The Nizhny Tagil factory alone produced more tanks per month than the entire German industry combined. This industrial reality transformed the war from a matter of individual quality to one of sustained systemic capability. The psychological impact of the T-34-85 on German troops was devastating and unexpected. German soldiers who once felt invincible in their Tigers and Panthers began to report a growing sense of despair. Obergefreiter Hans Müller, a Panther radio operator, wrote to his family, "They appear from all sides like green ghosts. We destroy one, and 3 more appear. We destroy those 3, and 5 more emerge from nowhere. It's like fighting hell itself." This psychological shift was fundamental. The Germans were losing not just tanks, but confidence in their technological superiority. The T-34-85 had broken the myth of German invincibility, not through individual technical superiority, but through the relentless demonstration that modern warfare was won by the ability to sustain combat indefinitely. German morale began to crumble as they realized they were fighting an enemy that could absorb losses and continue attacking with renewed force. The versatility of the T-34-85 across different types of terrain revealed another dimension of its strategic superiority. While heavy German tanks were limited by bridges that could not support their weight and roads that became impassable in mud, the T-34-85 operated effectively in virtually any condition. During the winter offensive of 1944-45, when temperatures dropped to 40 degrees, the T-34-85's diesel engines continued to run, while the gasoline engines of German tanks often failed to start. Major Alexei Romanov, a battalion commander, observed, "In winter our tanks are Arctic wolves, adapted, resilient, relentless. German tanks become frozen iron statues." This climatic and geographical adaptability gave the Soviets an operational advantage that extended far beyond technical specifications. The T-34-85 was not just a tank, it was a weapon system perfectly adapted to the theater of operations where it would be employed. The tactical evolution enabled by the T-34-85 fundamentally transformed Soviet armored warfare doctrine. Soviet commanders developed the Steel Storm doctrine, a strategy that utilized successive waves of T-34-85s to break through German defenses via coordinated and sustained attacks. Unlike German tactics that relied on individual breakthroughs by heavy tanks, the new Soviet doctrine created multiple simultaneous pressure points that overwhelmed German response capabilities. General Vasily Chuikov described this transformation. "Before, we fought like David against Goliath, with courage but at a disadvantage. Now we are an avalanche of Davids, each with his own stone, attacking from all directions at once." This doctrinal shift represented a revolution in understanding how to win modern wars, not through individual superiority, but through systemic coordination and the ability to maintain constant pressure on the enemy. The final confrontation between the T-34-85 and the German giants came during the Battle of Berlin, where the truth about armored warfare was finally revealed beyond dispute. In the narrow streets of the German capital, the heavy Tigers and Panthers became easy targets for the agile T-34-85s, which could maneuver quickly through the rubble and attack from the flanks. The last Tiger II destroyed in the war was taken out by a T-34-85 commanded by Sergeant Dmitry Lavrinenko, who later declared, They built fortresses on tracks. We built hunters on wheels. In a hunt, the hunter always wins the fortress. This final battle symbolized the complete inversion of the military situation. The Germans, who began the war with technological superiority, ended it being outmatched by a more efficient and adaptable philosophy of warfare. The T-34 had proven that in modern warfare, the ability to produce, maintain, and operate equipment in a sustained manner was more valuable than individual technical perfection. The legacy of the T-34 extends beyond World War II, establishing principles that remain relevant in modern warfare. It continued to serve in conflicts around the world, from the Korean War to the Arab-Israeli wars, and remained in service in some nations until the end of the 20th century. Its combination of simplicity, effectiveness, and ease of production made it one of the most influential tanks in military history. More importantly, the T-34 proved a fundamental truth about modern conflicts. Wars are not won by perfect weapons, but by efficient systems that can be produced, maintained, and operated at scale. This lesson echoed through the decades, influencing military development from combat jets to modern missile systems. The T-34 was not just a technical response to German threats. It was a declaration that true military superiority comes from a nation's ability to mobilize its resources efficiently and sustainably. As military historian John Keegan observed, the T-34 taught the world that in modern warfare, quantity has a quality all its own, and that quality is victory.